I bet you didn't know there are hundreds of One Piece theories out there about Zoro's left eye. They range all the way from how he first got the scar to what will happen if he's ever able to open that eye again. In today's video, we're going to discuss some of the best and worst theories about Zoro's left eye. Let's start off in order, how he got the scar, because believe it or not, we still don't know. He just showed up post time skip missing an eye, and all of us fans were just left to wonder like what the heck even happened. But let's go ahead and dive into some of the juiciest theories about how Zoro got his scar. One of the most popular ideas out there is that the scar came from none other than Mihawk himself during their training. This is the most probable answer, right? I mean, Zoro was training under Mihawk for 2 years. It's likely that they dueled, but a lot of people don't think they did. But if they were dueling each other on a regular basis, Mihawk being the better swordsman, it's very likely he injured Zoro and got a scratch on his eye. And it was probably used as a moment of teaching him a lesson or something. 2 years is a lot of time. It may not seem like it, but that's longer than the Straw Hat crew has been together, pre-time skip and post-time skip combined. You don't train with a guy like Mihawk without a few battle scars, right? It's speculated that Mihawk might have purposely inflicted the scar as a lesson, maybe to teach Zoro the dangers of losing focus in battle, or possibly just a way to physically prove something to Zoro. Given the little information we still know about Mihawk, I think it would definitely fit his training style to give Zoro a scar on purpose. But there's another theory that's a little darker. It suggests that Zoro inflicted the scar on himself. Zoro is the type of guy that's so dedicated to his dream of becoming the world's greatest swordsman that he'd go to unimaginable lengths to push himself to new heights. This theory states that Zoro blinded his own eye in order to train his other senses, particularly his observation haki. After all, observation haki is all about sensing the presence and intent of others without relying on sight. By depriving himself of vision in one eye, Zoro could have forced himself to rely on this ability more, sharpening it to an extraordinary level. This actually lines up pretty well with Zoro's character. He's the reason nothing happened in Thriller Bark. He'd rather die before failing his captain or failing to achieve his dream. So blinding himself for the sake of improvement? It's extreme, yes, but it's very on brand for Zoro. Think back to Little Garden when him, Nami, and Vivi got trapped by Galdino or Mr. 3. Zoro contemplated cutting off both of his legs so he could continue fighting and try to save everyone. And if Nami and Vivi weren't there to tell him not to do it, he probably would have. Instead, he gave up and decided to strike a nice pose. If you still don't think he wouldn't poke one of his own eyes out to try and get stronger, you're crazy. This theory kind of makes sense given the fact that he's with Mihawk, who is also kind of a known psychopath. I think anybody as strong as Mihawk or Shanks have to be a little bit psycho in a sense. But if Zoro really did this to himself, it's not only a testament to his insane work ethic, but it's also a huge narrative setup. This adds a layer of mystery and tension to his character, that mystery being the scar on his eye and the only reason I'm making this video and the only reason you're watching. So I think it's very possible there's a hidden meaning behind this scar. And of course, we've also got a troll theory. Some fans jokingly say Zoro got the scar because he was too clumsy and cut himself during training. Classic Zoro, right? Leave him alone for 2 seconds and he gets lost. Now he can't even handle a sword properly. I'm gonna be real with you, this theory is a doom. Zoro might be bad with directions, yes, that is true, but his skills with a blade are incredible, so there's no way he would accidentally cut himself and give him a scar. I don't know if the people who created this theory even believe in it themselves. Maybe it was just for rage bait. It would be the dumbest and most uncool way for Zoro to have obtained the scar, but the more I think about it, the more I could see Oda doing this as a joke, because he has no deeper meaning to the scar. And that leads me into my last small theory about how Zoro got the scar. Some people say it's simply just for looks. Every Straw Hat got these redesigns post time skip, and Oda wanted to make Zoro look a little bit more stoic and cooler, so he gave him a scar. It could literally be as simple as that. Maybe we're all overthinking this entire thing, and it is just as simple as a design. To me, it doesn't add up, because every other Straw Hat came back looking better than before after the time skip, and you're telling me Zoro is the only one that got a handicap like losing an eye? I mean, think about that. If you lose an eye, that's gonna mess with your depth perception, everything pretty much. You have to basically like learn how to see again and like hand-eye coordination and all of that. So it's kind of a big deal. I know Zoro has a huge fan base and people like to glaze him a lot, but just because he's strong doesn't mean he deserved to be nerfed. But then there's a counter to that, and you can say in One Piece, losing a body part doesn't really matter. Heck, Shanks lost an entire arm for Luffy, and you can argue he's still just as powerful as ever. So I guess we don't have to assume that Zoro losing an eye is a bad thing. Logically thinking it is, but it is One Piece after all, so maybe it's not. We also can't assume that his eye is completely gone. Rayleigh is the perfect example. He also has a scar on his eye, but as you can see, he has both of his eyes still intact. That's another theory about Zoro's eye, that this is a parallel between Zoro and Rayleigh. The two of them are both extremely strong first mates and vice captains. Rayleigh of the former Pirate King, Zoro of the hopeful future Pirate King. It may be revealed that there's a connection between a swordsman or vice captain losing an eye. Now, I'm not saying I believe in any of this, I'm just kind of reciprocating some whispers that I've read online, and a lot of these theories have big holes in them, especially a couple that I'm going to mention next. Those theories are the supernatural take, and this kind of moves us into what will happen if this eye ever does open. Some fans think the scar is a seal, a way to lock away a power or a curse. Since acquiring this scar, he's been given the nickname King of Hell. Do you think that's a coincidence? With a name like that, it would make sense for the scar on his eye to be hiding a curse or some sort of dormant power. So let's expand on this and say this theory is correct. What secret powers could possibly be hiding beneath this left eye? There's a lot of different things to unravel here. If it is a new special power that he has saved to use in a later fight, who is he saving it for? I mean, he literally met death himself after his fight with King, so I don't know what in the world he'd be waiting for besides that. My guess would be he's waiting for Mihawk. If the scar was given to him by Mihawk during that 2-year training, it would come full circle if this scarred eye opened in his duel against Mihawk to decide the world's strongest swordsman, but who knows, really, it may come before that. Personally, I don't think this is something that Zoro is planning, otherwise he would have done it in Wano. Like, he fought Kaido one-on-one and also fought King at one-on-one, and both battles weren't necessarily in his favor. Also guys, this is Zoro. He's not planning anything. Are we talking about the same guy here? Zoro is not going to plan this out for this many years. If this left eye does open up, it's going to be out of pure chance rather than him deciding to open it. One theory posted on the For My Anime website states that Zoro's left eye is closed so he can train his senses. I did kind of touch on this earlier, saying that he's trying to train his observation haki, but instead of that, this one says that when he opens his left eye, he'll unlock a sixth sense. This eye being closed will strengthen his sense of touch and comprehension of his environment, and additionally, he'll be able to exert more control over his inner demon, which takes the form of Asura, a 3-headed, 6-armed creature. Zoro's Asura represents the pinnacle of his abilities, at least from what we've seen so far. So when Zoro opens this left eye in the future, he'll gain that 6th sense because he spent so much time training his other 5 senses. The theory says that this will enhance his strength, perception, and other powers, and also give him a stronger demonic version of the Asura that we've seen. Is this theory plausible? Maybe, but we're mentioning the 6th sense. What even is that? Are we talking Spidey sense here? The theory doesn't really go into extra detail besides just gaining another sense. Maybe if there's some more details, I could be convinced, but this theory is another doom. I'm gonna be honest, the more theories I was reading while making this video, the more I started to think, you know what? Let's just keep the eye closed. Because these theories are not good. If it wasn't for Rayleigh having a scar on his open eye, I would not believe this one bit, but that's the part that kind of convinces me. Something about Rayleigh having his eye open makes me think that Zoro's is possible to be opened as well, but there's maybe one theory so far that sounds like it could actually happen. Now, it wouldn't be fair of me to throw all these theories out here without giving some counter arguments to everything, reasons why Zoro will not open his eye, and why it would not be good if he did. A user on the Worst Jin One Piece forum website gave some really solid takes on this subject. He says if Zoro were to one day open his left eye, it would bring about a significant shift in his post-time skip design. This change wouldn't just alter his appearance in the anime and manga, but would also ripple through merchandising and promotional materials. All existing marketing images, figures, and other collectibles would need to adapt to this new version of Zoro with an open eye, which would just be a logistical challenge for all the businesses out there that make One Piece products. And rebranding such an iconic design of Zoro could also alienate some fans that had grown to love Zoro with the eye scar. It seems like such a small change, but that would happen. On the other side though, it could also reignite interest into Zoro's character, making this hypothetical open eye Zoro design both a risk and opportunity for One Piece. This is something that's overcomable believable if they were to change Zoro's looks. I don't think it would be that big of a deal. But here's another counter argument. There's no established precedent in One Piece for a specific effect resulting from training, making the idea that Zoro's scarred eye conceals some kind of hidden power or ability feel out of place within the story's framework. While the series explores various forms of training, including meditation, these techniques typically enhance existing skills like swordsmanship, haki, or physical strength, rather than introducing entirely new powers or effects. Characters like Mihawk also show no indication of developing supernatural abilities, so what I'm saying is, in this case, opening the eye to reveal a new power would kind of be an outlier in One Piece, at least from what we've seen so far, and could possibly break the internal logic of the series and world building. But then there's a counter to the counter, saying that most of Zoro's new attacks never have any setup or preparation or even explanations. All of Zoro's new attacks and power-ups just kind of happen during battles. It's not really like Gear 5 or Gear 4 where they're maybe teased a little bit, so him opening his eye during battle could happen because weird stuff like this seems normal for him. There's my take and a bunch of other theories on Zoro's eye and whether or not it'll be a big impact on One Piece in the future. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's simply just for looks, or will a deeper meaning be revealed? Anyways, thanks for watching. I would really appreciate it if you drop a like on this video. See you next time.